Tony Messenger. And last week, Tony Messenger wrote about and talked about here on the show how this veterans home in North County was in getting some people wanting to call attention to it. Tony Messenger joins us now. Tony, you created quite a firestorm over this veterans home. I know there's a lot of details, and we only have so much time, but you were the one who highlighted this. They were having a hard time sort of getting the attention of authorities because this North County veterans home wasn't treating its veterans fairly, and this has now created a whole political firestorm.
Yeah, every politician in the state is now weighing in some capacity, and it looks like there's going to be finally an actual investigation. What's interesting about what's going on this week is sort of a difference of opinion between Governor Greitens and some of his fellow Republicans. He was asked by both U.S. Senators, Claire McCaskill, who's a Democrat, and Roy Blunt, who's a Republican, to look into this home, to order an investigation. And his response to the two senators was a snarky email full of political platitudes in which he basically said, oh, wait a minute, I've already ordered a bunch of investigations. Maybe you should Google them. And in his letter to the two U.S. senators, he actually referred to the wrong investigation. He sent them to a federal investigation. And my most recent column points out that is a great mistake that he made, because if you compare the Veterans Affairs investigation into the federal VA hospital at Jefferson Barracks, it's a real audit. It has lots of detail and lots of interviews and lots of requests for fix this, fix that, and the hospital responds about, where they agree or disagree with the audit, as compared to the investigation that Governor Greitens claims to have ordered by the Veterans Affairs Administration of the Missouri Veterans Home in North St. Louis, in which it basically just says, standards met, standards met, standards met, no comments, no list of interviews, no details whatsoever. And this week, Lieutenant Governor Mike Parson, who is also a Republican like the governor, himself has issued a letter to the Missouri Veterans Commission criticizing its previous so-called investigation and calling for this next one to be truly independent. So we will see what happens, but it's looking like the pressure is building for folks to just take a look out there. Talk to the families, talk to the veterans. There are a lot of veterans and a lot of families who are saying that the care has been inadequate under the current director and under the current leadership of the Missouri Veterans Commission.
Tony, when this story started, there was a woman who came to your attention, and Rick Stream, who was a Republican, who was trying to get the attention of anybody to pay attention to. I don't think they were looking to blame anybody or make any cheap political points. I think Claire McCaskill and Senator Blunt weren't trying to make any cheap political points. They were just trying to sort of raise the awareness of this. I don't think you were actually trying to make any political points. You were just trying to raise the awareness of all this. And Eric Greitens, the governor, sort of threw a whole lot of politics on this story.
Here's how badly the governor has handled this. Dory Polhowski, the Kirkwood 83-year-old volunteer who happened to come across this story because she was volunteering with some veterans, and some of them said, hey, will you come see what's going on at the home? And she did, and she was amazed and started investigating and started literally recording their stories. She worked on Governor Greitens' campaign. She's a supporter of Governor Greitens, and she told me when I interviewed her, she says, I didn't want you to get this story. I had Missouri veterans at this home asking me if they could call you, and I asked them not to over the last several months because she was trying to work in the proper political channels to not embarrass anybody, but to just get this done. Since February, the former medical director, Dory Polhowski, Rick Stream, and others have been trying to get the governor, the lieutenant governor, and the Missouri Veterans Commission to do something about this. And the lieutenant governor confirmed in his letter this week that he knew about this as far back as February. They just want the veterans taken care of. They want this place investigated and the Missouri Veterans Commission leadership investigated. And you're absolutely correct. It's the governor who turned this into something political.
All right, just so we understand what report he was referring to when he wrote the snarky letter back to the senators. That was the report in which you reported that the veterans home was tipped off to, and they were tipped off to you coming so that they had a chance to sort of clean up their act before the officials came. Is that right?
Yes, I was told by employees that before I went to visit and interview the administrator, Rolando Carter, there was an all call to the facility saying, we have a VIP coming, everybody clean up, everybody get stuff. And they had employees stationed with walkie-talkies as I was walking so that they could prepare for me coming down this hall or that hall. That's what employees told me. I didn't know that at the time, although I suspected it. But yes, the actual survey that the governor is pointing to as an investigation, employees, family members, and veterans have all told me that they knew about it at least a week, up to 2 weeks in advance, and that they increased staffing and that they did everything they could so that they could meet standards. It was not like it was a surprise visit. And the families who have been the ones raising the issue tell me they didn't get interviewed by the so-called investigators coming in to look at this thing. They want to tell their story, and they want somebody who has some authority to do something and to listen to them.
So now are they going to actually investigate this and start to clean this up?
Well, we'll see. One of the things that the governor could do that he hasn't done is replace members of the Missouri Veterans Commission. All of the current appointees on the Missouri Veterans Commission are Jay Nixon appointees, and they're all serving on expired terms. The governor has the power to appoint people to the Missouri Veterans Commission, and he hasn't done it yet. That's one thing. Get some fresh people on there that'll take a look that aren't beholden to General Larry Kay, the head of the Missouri Veterans Commission. That would be step one. That's what a lot of the advocates would like to see done. But yes, it seems like at this point there will be some sort of investigation, but we don't yet know what that looks like. We don't yet know who's going to conduct it. And in the meantime, I'm speaking to a lot of the veterans' families on a daily basis these days, and they're telling me their stories, and I'm going to keep writing their stories, but they're worried because right now nothing's been done, and both the employees and the veterans' families are worried that in the meantime they're going to be retaliated against because they've raised this issue into the public eye.
Stay tuned. Tony Messenger, STLtoday.com, and with us every Tuesday and Thursday here on the Big 550 KTRS. Thank you, Tony. Have a good day. Good job.
Hey,